Yo, what is going on, everyone? Kyle Style TV here. Just want to come at you real quick with some quick tips and tricks for workshop. So, included in the video, you're going to find tips and tricks for soloing the first trash pack in the dungeon as a tank. You're going to see in here how to place Kujo so that you can still attack behind the box, and then also going to show some tips on how to deal with the gigavolts and having a priest in the group to make sure that the squirrels deal damage to the group. So first I'm going to start off with the soloing of the first group in the dungeon. So as we go along here, I'm just going to show you real quick what this looks like. It's actually pretty quick, and then we'll talk about the specifics of it. Alright, so there is quite a bit going on there, obviously, that you can see going on, and it all happened really quick. So let's break it down. There are 2 rocket tonks in the pack. There's 2 bomb tonks, there's 2 strider tonks, and then there's the 1 infiltrator. So the rocket tonk is actually what is doing all the damage to all the ads. Now, a lot of people, when they come in here based on like what they saw in BFA, they think that this is actually all about using the hammer that's over in the corner to kill things, and it's not. So the rocket tonk does that rocket explosion, the rocket barrage there, and that does damage to the ads and to you. So what it's going to happen is it's going to target you, and if you summon any pets, like I summoned Nozio, it's going to target them as well. And anywhere where that's damaged, it's going to do within 4 yards, it's going to hit all those ads, and it's going to deal damage to them. That's what's killing the group. Now, while you're doing that, you want to be aware that the bomb tonk has a 2-second cast, and there's 2 of them, right, that casts detonate. This does a large chunk of damage to anyone within 200 yards, so you want to be careful if your group decides to stay up top, that they don't get hit by that if they, like, come closer to the edge, because they will get hit by the 200 yards. So be ready to interrupt that and maybe get the second one with like a paralyze. The Strider Tonk doesn't actually do anything to you, it just kind of does damage, and it's nothing important. And then obviously you've got the Infiltrator that you want to watch out for. Alright, so now I want to show you what happens when things go wrong. So, you'll notice I start off this pack the same way, but I have one slight difference as I'm about to start this pack off, and that's that I don't summon Nozio, or Nozio, however you want to say his name. So on here, you can see I group them up just the same, but because I'm just by myself and I don't have Nozio with me, it's only going to target me. So my first rocket barrages, it's lined up, it's hitting things, but you can notice as I'm spinning around to continue to put these on top of the mobs, I kind of get a little bit too far away from some of them, and it doesn't actually hit all of them, which causes them to move, and now they're left with health. So that's not a big deal. That's still survivable. You do want to make sure that we're ready to kick the casts here. You can see I'm going to kick this one, but ooh, here's what you got to watch out for. Those spinning saws that go around is what can really make this into a pickle. So if you get hit by those, not only will it hit you, but it will hit the ads and move those too. So be ready to group them up. You can see I group it up here, and this other cast is going to go off. I just missed getting it, and I'm trying to line back up for the bottom, but I took that hit. Now the rocket barrages are going off, and now I'm getting hit, and that's going to wipe it. So just be careful if you go through and you don't use Nozio like I did at the beginning there. Nozio does make it a little bit easier because it spreads out the range that those missile barrages are going to hit with to make them die faster. I tested this a couple times. When I summon Nozio, they almost die almost instantly every time. When I don't, it does go and take 2 rounds of the missiles. However, if you don't summon, you can also use like large defensives like Fort Brew, even Zen Meditation to make sure that you can survive those hits, and you can just stand on top of them and make sure that you don't die that way. So you do have some options there. But that's what that looks like when you solo it correctly as a tank. Alright, so let's go ahead and fast forward to Kujo. So here I'm going to show you how to position this boss next to the boxes so that you and the rest of your group can continue to attack. But before I show you how to do it correctly, I'm going to show you how to do it incorrectly so that people can't attack without getting damaged. So you'll notice that the box is actually a rectangle. So you don't ever want to actually put them on the long side. You're always going to want to put them on the short side. So you can see here, first I put them on the long side, and no matter what I do, I can't keep the buff up for hiding behind the box without also being able to hit him. So you can see that because I was moving around, and no matter what I did, either I was getting hit by his attack and I was able to attack, or I wasn't able to attack and I was hiding. So on this next one, I am going to put it on the short side, but again, this is what not to do. You don't want to have him right against the box. If you have him right against the box, you're going to run into the same kind of issue with line of sight, to where you're hiding, but you can't actually get an attack off without moving behind the box. So the secret here is actually to always put him on the short side, but you want to leave a small gap between the box and him. Now, it doesn't actually have to be a small gap. It can be kind of larger, but generally put about a gap, I don't know, about a yard or two between the short side of the box and him, and you will be able to perform this trick. So watch here as I put him in between the box on the short side. Now here you can see he's pretty far away, but check this out. I'm actually in a position where I can still get off my Keg Smash, I'm still able to Chi Wave, and I'm able to deal damage, even though I'm behind the box and he's kind of far there. So that's kind of how you want that to look. So let me switch over to another clip. Here again, you can see I'm positioning in the box. I'm putting a little bit of a gap between him and the box, and now I'm just going to go to the long side where I'm standing, and I'm able to attack the boss. You can see it looks like I'm LOS, but I'm still able to get off my Keg Smashes and my Chi Waves, and even though I'm still hiding with that buff. Now, the buff that you're seeing, I have it set to show like just above my character in the middle of the screen. That's actually a weak aura. It's just showing the buff that you have for hiding. So anytime you go behind the box is between you and Keiju, it gives you this buff. So this weak aura just makes it super obvious when you have it. It's really nice. I'll put it in the description so you can find it. Now, lining up for this next box, you can see I'm putting a small gap. I'm putting him on the middle of the box, and I'm just sitting here, and now I'm going to attack. Now, sometimes it does take a little bit. You do have to kind of wiggle around, but you can normally find a safe spot. You can see there I had to wiggle a little bit, but I was able to find the safe spot to where I could attack and still be safe. So that's generally what you want to do. It might take you a turn or two to practice with this box strat for where to position him so that you and your team can still hit it, and it is a little bit tougher to do this week with quaking, but this is something that you can do. That way people can be on this side, they can be on the other side of the box, and they can still attack, you can still attack and deal damage. Again, one thing to be careful about with this strat and any of the boxes anytime that you're dealing with them, if you get directly on the box, whether it's to the side or behind it, sometimes it'll bug out your buff, and even though you're directly behind it, you'll die. That's actually what happened to that shaman there. He actually stood right behind the box, and he was up on it, and for whatever reason, it doesn't like if you're touching the box, it'll count you as being there. So again, position it so that you're here, and then you don't ever want to go onto the box. I'll show you right here where even on the side, I get too close to the box because I'm trying to move, and it counts me as not being there. How I was safe to the right, but to the left I wasn't, I don't know, but that's just kind of some of the things you'll want to get used to as you go to position this. So again, the weak aura for that is down in the description. You can go ahead and grab that, and you'll be good to go. Alright, so next I want to move forward and take a look at how to deal with the Mechagon Tinkerers when you have a priest in the group that knows how to do the MC Squirrel trick. So first things first, when you group these up, you do want to start by grouping them up over by where they spawn in this back area here, and you want to try to get threat on them really quickly. Ideally, you want to interrupt one and then stun the other one, because generally your priest is going to MC one, then you're going to need to taunt it, and then he's going to MC the other one, and you're going to kind of have to go back and forth between taunting one and the other. So you can always tell which one got MC'd because its nameplate will disappear if you're only using enemy nameplates, and you can kind of keep going back and forth. Now, it is going to be kind of awkward because as soon as the MC fades, they're going to be hostile and they're going to pick. He's going to have high threat, whoever the priest is that's doing it. So definitely use taunt, use things like clash, use things like ring of peace to keep them in, and obviously you just want to keep them inside the blue swirly that is the squirrel. So when they get low, you can see this one stop doing it, so the squirrels are going out to the range again, but as long as you keep them here on this corner, they generally will stay right where they're at. Now, with the next pack, after you go through the steam vents and hopefully don't get sent back and forth a couple times, this pack's a little bit different. There's just one Tinkerer in it, and it's kind of specific on where you need to stand because the range had to stand a lot closer because of the ramp there. So you can see Star is the Tinkerer in this one. When my priest takes control of it, he's actually going to run it to the position it needs to go. But basically, you need to keep these ads as close to this pipe as you can, and ideally you want the Tinkerer all the way back against the wall. That way it's far enough away that the squirrel prefers to pick these at. Because when they MC it, it doesn't actually, like, he can't pick which mob to throw it at. He just uses the ability, and it will still prefer to go towards the range if they're within 20 yards, but if they're not, then it'll go on these mobs. So ideally they stand right at the top of the ramp, you keep them all the way back here, and it'll keep it from going towards the range, and then you just have to worry about taunting him every time. Now you can see there are the shield guys in here, so do make use of like Ring of Peace when the shield's on top of the Az to kind of move them, but again, try to keep that Tinkerer as far in that corner as possible so that the squirrels continue to hit these mobs. And that's really all there is to that. Again, just make sure that you're ready to taunt. Use things like Clash and Ring of Peace, even like Sweep to keep that Tinkerer from running out to the priest after the mind control ends, because he will have high threat and it'll always go to them. So just be ready to taunt, use Clash or Ring of Peace. Alright, so that is it for the workshop tips and tricks. If you have any comments or any other suggestions that you'd like to make for tips and tricks videos in the future, or something else that you want to see, please make sure to put those in the comments down below. I do read all the comments, and you know, if I see suggestions for videos, I do try my best to make sure that I get those posted for you guys. Also, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Make sure to ring that bell too, that way you get notified each time I go live with new videos on YouTube. So that's going to be it for me. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. See ya!